message. But the bottom line is that South Africa needs to grow faster. It needs to create more jobs. It needs to reduce poverty. It needs to reduce inequality. The second is that until now we've been hoping that if we wait another 6 months or wait another year, this crisis in Europe will be resolved. Quite clearly, it isn't going to be resolved as quickly as we thought, or as decisively as we thought. The third is that we now have to make a decision. Do we wait until it's resolved so that we can work out how we want to grow our economy and solve our jobs and poverty problem? Or do we find both the decisiveness and the political will in government, but more importantly, the same decisiveness and leadership will within the private sector, amongst the trade unions, since my good friend Dennis George is here, and other sectors of society, which will enable us to say we want to invest more in this economy. And by investing more, and government is taking the lead in this regard, we will increase the efficiency and the potential of this economy to actually grow, so that we could begin to see the clouds separating in the sky and see the number 7 beginning to appear, so that over the next 5 or more years, that 7 becomes clearer and the clouds become clearer. Now, clouds and Cape Town go together, I understand. And clouds here are very unpredictable. But those clouds must clear. We must begin to see that number 7 clearly. And what this budget is giving effect to President Zuma's intent that we need to invest in infrastructure as a way of triggering growth in South Africa, as a way of getting a common commitment from all of us to invest in this economy and to create the appropriate partnerships that will enable us to give effect to this dream that we can invest as much as we want to. The other factor that you might want to bear in mind, it's a useful number, that for government as a whole, we have some 4.5 trillion rands in the governmental system, within the fiscus and outside of the fiscus. And there's often a fear that, there's a big program here, but where's the money? And I'm sure with all of you here, and I'm sure you've all brought your checkbooks, money shouldn't be a problem. And we say in the budget speech, no good project will be going unfunded. And the real challenge for South Africa, which is the next point, having said where we're going, having said that we've got the money as it will be required, is to sort out our implementation problems. We are a young 18-year-old state, but we need to do much better, both as the private sector, as the unions, as civil society, but importantly as the government, in order to give us the real energy boost that we require to enable us to implement things that we actually talk about. And that's where real partnerships could begin to make a very significant difference. One last point. We've heard some feedback about why capital gains tax increase and why dividend tax increase. Mr. Robertson says it's fine, he's got the check ready, it shouldn't be a problem. But this is a factor that we need to talk about a lot more in South Africa. We say we want to remove inequality and poverty, but none of us wants to sacrifice anything to remove inequality and poverty. Our resources have to come from somewhere within the South African system. And so we need to talk a lot more about how do we create genuine solidarity in our society and a willingness to share a little bit of what we have with those who have either very little or nothing. And if we don't attend to that in the next 10 years, we will be setting ourselves up and future generations for a very unhealthy situation. So solidarity in South Africa amongst different sections of our population is absolutely crucial. And the one thing we do have in South Africa is a redistributive tax system. And that can only work if we're willing to give up a little bit more. And so I hope that from today onwards, I won't hear any complaints about CGT and dividends tax. So all in all, South Africa's fiscal trajectory, meaning its management of its finances, its management of debt, its ability to collect revenue, is in excellent shape. And we need to keep it that way for the next 20 years so that we can both collect taxes from our South African citizens, show them the impact that those taxes are actually making, and manage our expenditure in a way in which we ensure that neither it is wasted nor is it being spent on the wrong things and inefficiently. And I'm sure all South Africans will agree that they want their taxes spent absolutely wisely. So I hope that you'll enjoy this breakfast, that you'll join us in creating the solidarity that's required in order to make our investment program work. Thank you very much.